95.9 Freeport, New York. It's 6:42 p.m. Time for Steve Flotto and his son Dylan to do the dishes. They talk about everything from the yuckiness of girls to the awesomeness of his soccer team. Sometimes they don't talk at all. Then, anytime you're ready, let me know. The dreaded splash fight. Ready to go? Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Real Estate Plate. As always, I'm your host, Nick Sakalis, coming to you live from the WGBB studios here in Newark, New York. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Hope everybody that was enjoying Greek Easter, Orthodox Easter, had an awesome Easter yesterday. I know I did. Had plenty of land. We do, us Greeks, we do things a little bit differently. We do things a little bit differently. So we do the whole lamb on the spit, that kind of routine. And if you're not familiar with it, I suggest that you make friends with the Greek family and enjoy Easter with them one time, and you'll know what I'm talking about. With that being said, it's another day. It's another work. It's another work week that we have to jump into and get into some topics. As always, we have topics that we want to get into. And much like every week, there's always something a little bit dividing. There's always something a little bit different that we're going to talk about. And before I get into the main topic of the show today, I wanted to actually do a follow-up from last week's show, which was a show that was based on a lot of different scams and fraudulent type of activities that are happening and existing in the real estate market these days. And I wanted to let you know about something that was a follow-up on the rental scams that we were talking about. And I didn't get too into where people find a lot of these scams and get caught up into it. And one of the biggest places where you should have red flags from is Craigslist. And why I'm mentioning that right now is because Craigslist is one of those places that it's one of these places that you generally see a lot of different things on there, and there's not a lot of regulation that's in place. So a lot of times you'll see advertisement for a certain rental property, apartment for rent, that kind of thing, and it might look like it's coming from a real estate agent or something along those lines. And the truth is, it's not in a lot of occasions. And what I do suggest that everybody does is, hey, Swan Hong, how you doing? What I do suggest people do is if they're seeing an advertisement through a unusual type of real estate platform like a Craigslist or a Facebook Marketplace or a classified in some other type of platform, verify who you're talking to. So if you have a name of an agent and there's a ID that's attached to that person, verify that. If there's no ID that's attached to the agent, ask them for their ID. They should have no issue whatsoever. You should have zero issue whatsoever supplying you that ID. Now here in New York, in a lot of occasions, it's not mandated that you have to have your license ID on all your marketing material. But there's no reason for them to hide it. If you go onto the Department of State website, you can actually look up anybody by their name. You don't even have to have their ID. And then you can find their ID through the Department of State website as well. So you want to be very, very careful. Hey, NYC guy, thank you for joining us. Best part of Monday with Nick. I appreciate that very much, NYC guy. You guys make my Mondays really, you know what? Mondays are really tough days. They really are. I've said this many, many times. They're rough days. You got a lot of backlog from the weekend. You get your weekend, the entire week started. There's so much stuff that falls in place on a Monday. And the thing is, the thing is, you guys make my Mondays end in a really good way. Every time I do the show, all the commentary, all the great email I receive from everyone, the messages, the calls, I appreciate everybody so much, and you actually make me end my days and start the week off with the on the right foot. So I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining us, George, as well. Yes, it's too. If it's too good to be true, it usually is, and that's why I'm saying this. Like, if you see one of these situations where um, an apartment is being rented out for an extremely ludicrous price by New York standards, and not ludicrous on the expensive end. I'm talking about on the inexpensive end. Usually, there's something not right going on. I can assure you of that. So verify, verify, verify. There's nothing wrong with checking the credentials of the individual that is actually helping you out. And if they're a licensed professional, they should have no problem whatsoever supplying you with whatever information you ask them for. It's just how it is. Just recently we had a situation where there was an agent. We don't know what this person is. Is he a scamster? And he basically parading around using somebody else's name and somebody else's user ID. But the address is wrong. A whole bunch of things are wrong. And if you sit there and take it at face value and don't investigate, you could get really, really burned. Thankfully, whoever was the person that was about to get um, scammed made the right calls to verify and found out that it's not a legitimate thing. And that's the thing that everybody needs to understand and must get themselves right in line with. There's nothing wrong with checking everything. Do your due diligence, just like everything else. So I'm going to say that and leave that at that point. But what are we going to really talk about today? Well, I'm sure a lot of people remember, especially people in New York and Long Island, they remember the major expose that was done by New York Newsday. It's one of our major newspapers. For as long as newspapers still exist, it is still one of our major newspapers. And they did this whole New York, Long Island divided type of thing. And it exposed a lot of agents that were really doing the wrong thing and brought a lot of things to the public eyes as far as uh, discrimination being involved and a lot of different issues that should have been attached. And I have no problem with trying to expose things that are being done the wrong way. What I do have a problem with, though, is when there's a certain conflict of interests. And I feel that lately we've been seeing a little bit of conflict of interest. So I received this in the mail. I brought this with me so I could read through it and kind of guide everybody to what this is saying. So you get this thing. It's got a big logo, Long Island Divided, a Newsday investigation. Okay, and it's coming from a media company. Media company. So that was the first thing that actually gave me a red flag. Why is this coming from a media company? PLH Media LLC. Okay, I'm not going to say the name of the person, but it came from PLH Media LLC. And it says right under in big bold letters, lessons learned from Long Island Divided. Okay, well, it looks like we're on the right track as far as a follow up of that type of investigation that was happening. Everyone working in the real estate industry should see Bill Dedman's lessons learned from Long Island Divided. Well, Bill Dedman was one of the lead investigators that were involved in this expose in this article. Okay, and he was a Pulitzer Prize winner. Okay, we're on the right track. What to look for inside? It says look for inside. Fair housing training by Pulitzer Prize winner Bill Dedman, a lead reporter on Long Island Divided. Well, right there is something that's in itself is something that I think is bothering me. And anybody that's listening or now or in the future replays or something like that, if you're bothered by that as well, let me know your thoughts. And I'll explain to you why I'm being bothered. By the way, I didn't say the whole like, subscribe, put a comment, whatever the case is, but do that. If you're listening to the show now or later, put a like, put a subscribe on there, put a comment if you have something to say. Even if you have something to say like hi, go ahead. It's great for the algorithm. It builds up our YouTube audience. It builds up our presence on social media, and we could stay here and be a legitimate powerhouse in the YouTube world for real estate. How to say it? How to say it? Because we're building up our channel. I'm building up my channel. I did lose a lot of subscribers with some of the things I said that might have turned some people off or offended people, whatever the case is. The one thing that I will say, even though some people got offended, other people appreciated. But what you will always hear from me is the absolute truth and factual data. So I'm not going to back off on that. That's why I'm not backing off on this article itself, because this is something that a lot of people, especially within my business industry, will not even touch. Nobody wants to touch stuff like this. Nothing. Nobody's going to touch it, except for me. Why? Because I'm going to say it the way it is, whether people like it or whether they don't like it. So do that like, subscribe thing. If you want to call up to the channel, do you want to call up to the station, actually? Call 516-623-1240. 516-623-1240. You want to send me an email? Go ahead and send it to realestateplateradio@gmail.com. You want to put a comment in the top live chat right now? Go ahead and do that as well. And I'll answer live on the radio, and on the stream while we're at it. So let's go back to this article. And we haven't even opened this up yet. This is an envelope. We're just reading what's on the cover. So let's go. Fair housing training by Pulitzer Prize winner Bill Dedman, a lead reporter on Long Island Divided. So here's the issue that I'm having with this. Okay, I've seen plenty of writers capitalize on their media, and when they win Pulitzer Prizes and different kind of accolades for their writing and for their articles, they write books or they get other opportunities that are in there. However, here's an issue I'm having right here. Fair housing training. Is this person certified through New York State to be training for fair housing? Or is this off of observations? I don't know. It's not clear. There's no branding, and there's nothing down here that would state that he's a certified trainer from New York State or instructor, or if he actually has the right credentials to be actually doing training on fair housing. So that in itself is a bother. Now, the next thing that we have on the checklist, a grant from National Association of Realtors to make the training affordable for every association. Okay, I find that to be a conflict of interest as well. Why is the National Association of Realtors giving a grant towards his training? Why? If National Association was going to be giving grants out for specific fair housing training to brokerages, shouldn't they be giving that out to all the fair housing training? I would think so. No, I'm taking all the stuff to do the continuing ed for my classes and all that stuff. We're not getting grants on all the classes that we're taking, but apparently for Bill Dedman's class, you're getting a grant. Interesting. References, next on the list is references from realtors leaders in associations large and small across the nation. Okay. And then there's a planning guide, 5 steps to host your own fair housing event. Interesting. This got me intrigued enough to open it up. Let's see what it says on the inside. Let's see what it says on the inside. All right. So there we go. Bill Dedman, keynote speaker, Pulitzer Prize winner, New York Times #1 best-selling author. All right, this is what we got here. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double-sided pages. Okay, and all of a sudden, our members loved it. Lessons learned from Long Island Divided is the most informative program on fair housing. It must be true because they say so. You know, because they wrote it here on this form, so it must say it. And I'm still struggling right now to find anything that has to do with Department of State or certified train or certified instructor or anything along those lines. Just saying. And it's got a whole bunch of really, you can see that right there. You got a really intense type of little captions from the videos that were pulled out of exposing agents and that kind of thing, and dramatizing. And some of these agents deserve it. You know, some of them did the really wrong thing and that kind of thing. And they're getting into the lessons learned from Long Island Divided, the investigation that's shaking up the real estate industry. It's shaking it up. I'll tell you what, it did shake things up. It did shake things up. And for some people, it was truly an eye-opening experience. And for some people, it was not. Because for some people, it was business as usual. They were always doing the right thing, so it never really affected them. But for some people that were doing the wrong thing, hey, it woke them up. It said, hey, hold on a second. I better shape up or I'm going to lose my license. And that, for those people, good for them that they got caught and they got penalized, and other people that just shaped up because of that reason. Whatever it did some good. Now, I'm going to get into some things about that investigation, and I got into them a while back, because this investigation, when it came out, nobody was touching it, and I actually did a stream and a radio show. Actually, I did 2 radio shows on this exact topic, and I actually pulled out the paper, and I was reading off of it and going off of all the issues that were going on, and I pointed out all the positives and I pointed out all the negatives as far as how they approached that article. Because you have to take the good and you have to take the bad. You have to you have to look at it from a neutral point of view. If you're in my position and you need to give a clear and decisive type of commentary on a subject like this to the public, the way I am doing on the radio, you should be in a really neutral state. You can't have biases. As much as I sometimes have biases, I try my very best to be as neutral as possible as far as how things are approached and talked about. I always try to look at both sides of the story. whether something is positive, something is negative. Just like when I got into the whole political thing with the who was going to hurt real estate more? Was it going to be Trump or was it going to be Biden? I got into that as well. Some people liked my commentary. Some people did not like it. But regardless of whatever you like or not, it was the truth. I was just taking factual data and presenting it and giving my commentary. And I'm going to do the same thing with this as we're speaking. So this is basically, this first page is basically giving a little bit of a, let's call it a resume on Bill Dedman. Okay, so it's giving you a little bit of resume, talking about a little bit how special he is and um, how he's working with NAR, supporting associations and brokerages, etc., etc. And I'm not taking anything away from that. You know, he did his job as far as um, doing a big article that got a lot of attention. Hey, driver C, thank you for joining us. Biden is falling apart at the seams, and he was caught on stage shaking hands with an imaginary person. Did you see that, Trevor? Did you see Biden caught on stage shaking the hands of an imaginary person? I didn't see that either, but if that's true, I'd love to see it. That's a meme in itself. I'll tell you something.
If it was true, it would have been all over the news. That would be the biggest news of the day.
You got your microphone. I don't know if I heard you.
I said if that was true,
yeah,
that would have been the biggest news of the whole day.
I'm sure it would be.
Fox, CNN, and I never heard anything.
Well, driver's seat over here says that it's on YouTube. So if
that's what it is, YouTube.
Well, YouTube is today's media. YouTube is absolutely today's media. So, you know what? I will take a look and see if I can find that. And, you know, as sad as it is, to see your president do stuff like that, it also makes for a very comical type of meme to put together. So, thank you, Biden, for giving me more ammunition and more things to make memes about. You know, now, you know what? If the man has truly medical issues and stuff like that, I don't want to make fun of them. You know, like we're all going to get really old one day, and you know things don't really work well, like our brains when we get older and that kind of thing. It's nothing to make fun of. Um, just if that's the case, he shouldn't be the president. That's all. That's all. You know, you have to have your mental capacities. You know, we went through a president that wasn't all there in the second term, and that was Ronald Reagan in the 80s. You know, as well thought out and well spoken that he was in. Don't forget, he also got spooked by the Easter Bunny. All right, looks like everybody's in the mood today to get on Biden. All right, so maybe we got spooked by the Easter Bunny. He's shaking hands with imaginary people. I'm not making it up. If you guys are making it up, then shame on you. But I will look it up, and if that's true, I'll make a point of referencing to it and putting links in there and having everybody get their laughs or cry about it because it's a sad state of affairs. If the president's getting spooked by an Easter bunny and a president is shaking hands with an imaginary person, it's a sad day. Funny, but it's a sad day. It's really sad. And I'm sure the rest of the world is laughing at that. It's not something we want to hear. So, let's get into the second page. So, we got into their impact on Newsday's team prize winning investigation. All right, so we're going to start talking about more accolades here on the second page of this bunch of papers that they sent me. Talking about what impacts it had and stuff like that. We're not going to get into details of that because we've gotten into that already. Then it says, nice big bold letters over here. You can see that. Fancy graphics, by the way. We got only the fanciest graphics on this show. Absolute fanciest graphics. So, 25 undercover testers trained. Okay, who trained them? I would love to see who trained these people. Does it say who trained them and how they were trained? But it says they were trained. To what effect? I don't know. Then it says 93 real estate agents tested. 93 real estate agents. I have a problem with that in itself. You know, here in New York, in Long Island, I mean, we got, what's it, 26, 27,000 agents that are affiliated with our MLSs? 93? It's not a really great sample set. That's an issue that I had when they first did that. First of all, they didn't test enough people, in my personal opinion. And second of all, they avoided going after the most notoriously known, publicly known agents that do the wrong thing. I don't know why they did that. There's some people that have some of the most horrible reputations out there within the professional community and through the public community, and none of them were tested. How is that possible? Who did they randomly test? How do they figure out their input and who to actually test? I don't get it. I don't get it. And then it says 5,763 house listing analyzed. Okay, that's a good sample set of actual house listing analyzed. Okay, I'll take that. That's enough of a sample set to be able to figure out and determine how much is going wrong or right on all the writing and the descriptions of the marketing and the listings, and et cetera, et cetera. I could get that. But I'm stuck on that 93 agents tested. That bothers me. That really, really bothers me because they should have tested more people. And at the same time, if they found more people that did the wrong thing, throw the damn book at them. But do it the right way. You got to do it the right way because if you're not doing it the right way, then you're really basically setting yourself up for a really non-conclusive type of investigation, in my personal opinion. Is there discrimination out there? Is there things that are being done in the wrong way? Absolutely. That's the reason they're the catalyst for having one of these investigations and articles written. But I don't believe that it was put and thought out the way it should have been prior to setting this up. 25 undercover testers trained, and believe me, I saw some of the videos. I saw some of the videos that they put out there. I don't know how well trained these testers were. I think they could have done more testing and been a little bit more savvy about the market to be able to pull out more and extract more information out of the people that they were working with. And then the 93 real estate agents tested, that's another problem that I have as well because one, it's a very small sample set, and at the same time, I don't feel that they went after some of the more publicly known, notorious agents and brokers in the areas. And I had this conversation. I know a few writers over at Newsday and that kind of thing. I brought that up to them, and I wish they did it a different way. You know, you know when they came to any time a tester or anything like that came, I feel that I did have a couple of testers come to me, but what are they gonna find me? For me, there's no ifs and or buts. It's all about green. Can you pay or can you not pay for the house? Are you willing to offer this much or are you not offering this much? That's all that matters to me. I don't care who or what or whatever you are. Just pay. That's it. That's my job as the listing agent for a home or a property to sell it for as much as humanly can with the best possible terms as well. So I feel that it was dead end. If I have my suspicions, but if a tester actually came to be, but there's people that are ruthlessly notorious out there, and they should not have done things like that. They should have went after more people, and after the people, if they do a survey and talk to I don't know a few hundred agents, I could assure you that they'll hear the same names over and over coming out. If the agents are brokers are honest, You'll hear the same names over and over again as far as who has good or bad reputation in the community for all various reasons. So I don't think that was properly done and thought out well. I came across an article that stated housing prices in Canada have soared past America, prompting lawmakers to consider capping prices. Well, how would lawmakers cap the prices on housing prices? That's an interesting idea. But how do you do that and still actually call yourself a capitalist system? If you're artificially capping prices, you are basically price fixing. Now, price fixing is a big no-no in our industry, and it's a big no-no across the board as far as all types of products in our system. Price fixing, monopolies, artificially artificially and intentionally affecting the market in a certain way where it could be positive or negative. And don't think that capping prices could be a positive or negative thing. It will benefit some. It will also really hurt others. So there's a lot of different scenarios you have to deal with that. You know, we already have enough price fixing in this industry and in this business. The people that the lawmakers with the infinite knowledge and the, the these lawmakers that they decide they know everything and they know exactly how to be able to get the best possible thing for the public already are price fixing. You go talk to anybody with the rent control apartments or rent stabilized apartments. They're price fixing those. Think I'm wrong? Go look at the definition of what price fixing is. You're artificially putting caps on things. It's not right. All those years that de Blasio was mayor and he had zero increases on stabilized apartments. Zero. I mean, 0.0 stabilized prices increases on stabilized apartments. That's how price fixing? I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody call and correct me. Somebody put a message to correct me. Somebody make a video and say I'm a moron for thinking that's called price fixing. Because it is. I can assure you, you could debate me all you want on it. You're artificially doing that. And you're also destroying the capitalistic nature of our financial system. I think what do we have there? I think they stopped foreign buyers in Canada. I've heard of some things that have some restrictions on foreign buyers going into Canada, just like in a lot of other countries. There are certain restrictions that people have. Believe it or not, there's some restrictions that some foreign buyers have here coming into this country. Um, I just don't know all the ins and outs of what restrictions are in place in Canada. If there's any Canadians out there that have any idea, please let me know. I'd be fascinated and intrigued to see and do a comparison between what happens there and what happens here. I actually was on a couple of live streams with Maria Recruit, who's like a big advocate over in Canada for landlords, and we got into a few things and the differences as far as what's going on between both markets about a year ago, maybe a little more ago, during the COVID times, lockdowns, quarantines, whatever. During that time, we got caught up in that, and we had a really intriguing conversation. We actually had Matthew Lyman on there with us during one or two uh, streams, so it was fun. There you go. Zero increase. Zero. I'm going to say this again. 0.0 In case you didn't hear me, I'm going to say it again. You want to check the audio just in case that people aren't hearing, Trevor? 0.0. 0.0. If you're on the radio, that's your increase. But the taxes went up every year. You're absolutely right, George. And George, you're Greek, so happy name day. And if my son is listening, which I'm sure he's not, happy name day to my big baby boy and my dad and my nephew, because today is St. George's name day for St. George, and all the Georges in our culture, my culture, are celebrating today. So I'm going to take a second to say that to everybody. But let's not divert. Happy name day to all you Georges. 0.0. Did I make a did I emphasize that enough? Did it gravitate with everybody? Did it sink in with everybody? That for me is price fixing. And the fact that the property taxes go up every single year is a trap. No, now you're gonna get me heated up. Now you're gonna get me heated up because that's one of my biggest pet peeves during this whole eviction moratorium time with the lockdowns and the whole scenario that we had during that whole time period. The biggest problem I had is the fact that they basically cut the funnel. They turned the valve off as far as any income coming in with the eviction moratorium on those people that felt like, hey, I'm not going to pay rent. But I get what the mindset, and to some extent it could be a noble idea. Okay, let's not kick anybody else out of the house during this time until we figure everything out. But you know what? While you're doing that, why don't you stop paying? Stop charging property taxes to the same people you just told can't get income. So if a landlord or a housing provider couldn't was not receiving income on their property from a rental, they should have been able to deduct that percentage of income loss from their property taxes. I didn't say to stop it all. Let's say it's a 10 family and they got two apartments that are not paid. Well, that's 20%. Take off 20% off the property tax, and it should be justified and that kind of thing. That was my solution. But guess what? That solution is way too logical for people. Yeah, the mafiosos are more forgiving. The government, yeah. At least sometimes the mob will have some logic. The government, they don't care. They're ruthless. They're cold. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You got a tenant in there that's destroying a place on purpose, and you have proof of it with video, and you can't do a damn thing about it. You're not getting income in it. You're paying for repairs on top of it. And guess what they're telling you on top of everything else? Pay your taxes. What taxes? I'm not getting any income. How am I paying taxes? Yeah, they passed the buck on forbearance and pushing the mortgage companies. But guess what? The mortgage companies themselves, they didn't ask for this either. I'm not being an advocate of big lending institutions and financial institutions and big banks and that kind of. I'm not in any way. I don't like them, but they are necessary evil. But at the same time, they didn't cause this mess. They didn't cause this mess, but they're being protected in some ways too. The landlords, the housing providers, they're not being protected. So it's a problem for me. Now I got a little off topic, but you know how I am when I hear about things that are regarding landlord, tenant situations, income situations, uh, price fixing, capping certain type of rentals, capping certain type of sales costs, sales prices. I go off on a tangent on that, and I lose it a little bit because I get really, really aggravated. I really do. Because I really, really believe in a capitalist system, a true capitalist system. That's the whole point of being in this country. Otherwise, why am I here? If I want to live in a socialist type of environment, why am I here? I might as well go back to my parents' home country in Greece. Yeah, they're from islands. It's very nice on the islands. We're from the south, where it's warm all year round. So I would go down there and sit down by the beach. I'll work a job, just making just enough to do whatever I want every day. I'll put my legs up halfway through the day because over there you have siesta. You could cut you could cut the day in half. Take 2 3 hours off in the middle of the day. Go drink a coffee. Go take a nap. You go have some lunch. Go to the beach, and then go back to work if you feel like it for an hour or two. Why would I? Why wouldn't I do that if I had to live in a socialist system? Why would I be here in the middle of concrete? What's the point? And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that are like-minded like me. If we went into a pure socialist system, there's no point to being here anymore. There's no point because I don't like to work and have the government take most of my money. Sorry, I don't find that fun. I don't know if other people like it, but that's how it is. Especially places like in New York, you're giving up 50 cents on every dollar, and you think I'm exaggerating? You do the math. You do the math of everything it costs you on a daily basis between your taxes, federal, state, city, sales tax, breeding tax, whatever tax you have, being double taxed because the corporations are paying taxes and you're being taxed. You're lucky if you get 50 cents on a dollar at the end of the day. Even though your check might show you that it might be more, it's really not. You're paying more in hidden taxes than you ever would imagine. So at least keep us growing and at least give us the opportunity to make more money to be taxed on instead of stifling and putting caps on. That's my opinion. Wrong, right, whatever. So that's my right. So let's go back to this. 25 undercover testers trained. 93 agents tested. 5,763 housing listing analyzed. And then it gives you a nice little summary and another big, you know, pat on the back. Nice pat on the back about Bill Dedman. And I'm not making fun of him. Don't get me wrong. He's a reputable writer, and he is a Pulitzer Prize winner, and he did what he needed to do. But I'm not really in tune with this whole thing, the way it's going. Then on the next page, it says, you see that? It says NAR, which is National Association of Realtors, grant helps bring this event to your members. Why is NAR, the National Association of Realtors, associating with this person's fair housing courses? Now, nowhere on these pages does it say what it costs to take these courses in the seminar, but it does say $1,000 net cost for most associations. Interesting. Actually, here it goes: $2,500 fee, $1,500 grant, $1,000 net cost for most associations. Top 50 cities and states agreed pay more. Will work with your budget. Interesting. Will work with your budget. So Top 50 cities and state groups pay more. In other words, your average is 2,500, but places like here in New York, I can assure you, are going to be paying higher fees than that. And why do we have to pay 2,500, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, to this person who I don't see any of his accreditations, I don't see any of his certifications to be a trained instructor on fair housing? Why are we paying these numbers? Does that make any sense to you? Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, this might be the greatest course on earth. I just don't like the fact that there is some kind of evident conflict of interest. Sorry, it really doesn't compute. If there was no conflict of interest, well, maybe he should have been done. Maybe the man could be paid a certain fee, maybe a very large fee, to make one video that gets distributed to all the brokerages on NAR's dime. Because don't get me started on this organization, National Association of Realtors. I'm just as aggravated with this association that I am with our local MLS boards. Believe me when I tell you, there's a whole bunch of monkey business going on with these associations that nobody wants to expose and talk about because they're scared that they're going to get thrown out of the association or they're going to go after them and then they're going to get ostracized and not be able to work again a day for challenging them. They challenge their authority and question them. Well, you know what? I got no problem questioning associations. I have no problem questioning people. I have no problem questioning boards. If you feel that you're justified, anybody listen to NAR right now, and occasionally I get a viewer, a listener that will be part of these boards that will listen. They never call up. I can assure you that. Nobody from the board of Long Island Board of Realtors or nobody from a real estate association or realtors will actually come on and have me interview them, whether it's live or whether it's a recorded interview. I can assure you that. Why? Because they don't like to be asked difficult questions. They don't like to be asked, where is all the members' money going? They don't like to be asked of where are all the things that we potentially are protecting you all for. Where is that all going? All these funds, these RPAC funds, these donations that they're receiving. The state needs our money. Hold on, let me see. Read this. The state needs our money for a new stadium in Buffalo. Yeah, you know what? Maybe. I don't think they're going to spend the money in Buffalo, to be quite honest with you. Quite honest with you, might threaten that it's going to go there. But it's go all private. They're not going to build this thing in Buffalo unless it's owned by the state. That's a thing that I have a problem with as well. I don't mind. I don't mind states or cities or municipalities paying to have new stadiums built or things of that nature, as long as they own them. And they could lease it back to the teams at a decent rate, a fair rate, but they should own it. They should not be doing it just, we don't want to lose you, so we're going to do it. No. We'll build it for you. And we'll lease it back to you at a very fair rate. We'll give you a very favorable terms on the lease. We want you to stay here, but if we're going to spend taxpayer money on these things, on these projects, this is going to belong to us. So in case you decide later on to get up and head for the high hills and go for greener pastures or go to another state that gives you a better incentive down the line, you're not going to get any money from the sale from that stadium that we just built for you. That's my thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. Somebody has the right answer. You tell me. But that bothers me. That disturbs me when money is being spent like that. That's not appropriate. It's not something that I'm for. Now, to help, all right. Let's say they want to do a private type of setting. Here's a solution. You want them to build it on their own dime, and you want to help them and give them incentive. All right, give it for interest. Give them a loan for an interest rate that may be almost nothing, fraction of a point, or even a 0% loan for a certain amount of time for them to do it. All right, that's going to give them an incentive to build it, and you can get paid back your investment. I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. A lot of people do have problems with giving those kind of loans out to private developers. I don't, because they are improving the community and they're adding value to the public. That's my thoughts. Eric Adams is talking about a 9% rent increase over 4 years in regulated apartment. It's about time. Well, you know what? If this actually does happen, and listen, it's right around the corner when the increases are going to be talked about. June is usually when this occurs. If he turns around and does a 9% split between the 4 years, which is not, listen, is not, if you break it down, what is it? What is it? 2.25 a year? It's nothing massive. It's not huge, but it's better than zero point 0.0. It is so much better than zero point 0.0. Still doesn't keep up with inflation. I would like to see it at least at a rate where it keeps up with inflation. I'm not saying put 10%, 15% increases on places that break the backs of everybody. Tenants, like, let's be fair. I understand that. Somebody that's paying a top rate apartment, you give them the opportunity to get their rent increased by 10, 15, 20% in a matter of a year while they're still living in there, it can probably pushes them out. Well, let's do something fair. Let's try to keep up with inflation. That's all I'm saying. Everything else, have you bought a bottle of milk? How much does milk cost these days? Eggs. Have you gone to the supermarket to buy any milk or eggs? Well, I have. It's like doubled. Everything in this world's doubled. Have you got a con edison bill lately? Or electrical bill? Holy crap, what the hell's going on there? This is ridiculous. Everything's going up. So how do you expect living conditions and housing to stay stagnant? Oh, and the taxes have increased every year as well. So what's going on? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Now, I'm going off of different tangents and stuff like that, but I want to make sure that I address everything that everybody is writing. Total waste of taxpayer dollars. Yes, it is a total waste of taxpayer dollars. As far as if they go with the stadiums being built for private groups, I believe that. I believe that. But I would love to see Eric Adams actually step up and be a man and not be a De Blasio type of individual and do the right thing for the public and the community. I'll give him all the. I have not. Have I bashed Eric Adams yet? No, I haven't. Why? I'm giving him time. He just got in January. The guy's clueless. He doesn't have any political type of experience, like real experience. He's jumping into the mayor of New York City after the mess the other moron left for us. You know, nobody ever wants to be the guy that takes over after the disaster. And that's basically what he did. So I'm giving him a break. I'm giving him time to do some things and actually make good on some of the promises he made and actually evaluate and make some really, really tough and good decisions while he's in the mayor. And I'll give him this 12-month period. For me personally, yes, I will be critical about certain things, I will be. I will. He's not going to get a break on if he's doing something wrong. I will point it out and say it. But for the most part, I'm giving the guy 12 months. I want to see what he can accomplish or get started. Sometimes you're not able to accomplish things in the first year, but you're able to at least get things started in the first year. So I want to see what he gets started. And then I will give an honest assessment and my opinion about what he does. No, not F the Bills. The Bills are the greatest football team. I'm just going to make a point of telling you that. Do do not criticize my Bills, my Buffalo Bills. Why? Because they're the only true New York team. I don't care what the Jets say in front. They say New York Jets. I don't care what the Giants say from it. New York Giants. New York Giants, New York Jets play in New Jersey. They pay taxes in New Jersey. I do not support New Jersey teams. I support New York teams, and Buffalo Bills are the only New York team out there. So, sorry, I will not take any Buffalo Bills bashing. I don't care if they're the worst team in the league. I will always support them because I am a loyalist. I believe as much as New York drives me crazy, I'm still a New Yorker at heart. I take pride. I've said this before. I say it a lot of times. I get down on New York. I get aggravated, but I love New York. I want to see New York do the very best and be the most productive city, state in the world. That's it. Will it happen? Well, let's see if it starts with Eric Adams. If he starts doing the right thing, he starts putting us on the right path, and let's see what happens to the governor. I don't know what this. I don't know what she is. I don't know what she's going to be doing going forward. If she's going to get elected, if not. I hate. I hate the fact that she's in office right now without being elected. It drives me nuts. If she was elected and got all the votes, even though I hated her or not hated her or whatever the case is, I'll live by it. She got elected. Oh no, we're gonna get appointed in the place of the corrupt guy who had put her in the position she was in. Does that make any sense? Does it make any sense to put a person in a position that was right under the person you are kicking out? There should be an election. There was an election right around the corner when Cuomo was stepped down. You know, right around the corner from that. And now this guy is like, I've been seeing videos on YouTube. I want to do this. I want to do that. He's all of a sudden now he's back in the picture. Why does he take those big Q-tips of his and stick them in his ears and his nose and leave us alone? And go away. I'm done with Cuomo. Cuomo and De Blasio. De Blasio better not run for office again. He better not run for office again. Because I swear I will make my show now stop talking about real estate and call it I Hate De Blasio Show. I swear to God I will do that. Let's see what else we got. I think the numbers were 5% for 1 year lease and 9% for a 2 year lease. Let's see what happens in June. I highly doubt anything more than 2 to 3%. Now, if it's 5% for a 1 year lease and 9% for a 2 year lease, I'm okay with that. That's actually a fair situation. I thought, from my understanding, that it was going to be 9% over over a 4 year period. So if I'm incorrect, and that's actually the true rates of 5% for 1 year and 9%, I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. And I think that if we do that for the next couple of years, we'll play catch up. But they have to do it for at least 3, 4 years in a row to play catch up for losses that we took in the past. And you're probably right. They'll probably be voted down, and more than likely you'll see a 2 or 3% increase for a 1 year. More than likely. I just hope that's a 2, 3% for 1 year, and not a 2, 3% for a 2 year. I just hope. We'll see. We'll see. So like usual, I went on a tangent. I didn't really, I didn't really go into this whole entire thing about the fair housing classes that are being done right now by Bill Dedman to teach us all and give us the correct type of tutelage, training in fair housing. I didn't really get into that as much as I'd like to, but you get the point. You get the point of what my premise of this whole show is. There's always a conflict of interest. I hate conflict of interest. Why can't somebody just do something that's non-biased? And I feel that NAR, there's a serious National Association of Realtors, NAR, has a serious conflict of interest. Now, this guy, Bill Dedman, he has every right in the world to do whatever he wants. He's a private guy. He's a writer. He got his accolades. He got his Pulitzer Prize or whatever. But why NAR is supporting this, I got a problem with that. There's a conflict of interest to me. I think somebody's getting paid or whatever the case is. These are my thoughts. I don't know for a fact. These are my thoughts. And look at this. Look at the Trevor's throwing me off. I got to get off of here. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening. Meet me again next week at 6 to 7 p.m. on the Real Estate Play Radio Show. And have an awesome week. Make lots of money in real estate. And I will see you again Monday. Be well, everyone. Have a great week. You didn't give me any warning. Usually I get a little bit of warning.